Okay. First episode of Barça Boyz Book Club. As always, it's your boy Tincho Sports, and I'm with
your boy Lex.
So we're reading How to Watch Soccer by Ruud Guillit, as you guys can see right there. So we're going to be doing, what do we say, a chapter?
We're going to say a chapter.
A chapter a week. Give us a little bit of time, you know? Everybody got their own thing. So we read the first chapter of this book, and it's called Getting to the Top. So basically what it was just him kind of going back. Dude, why the fuck did I just start cramping up right now? What the fuck? Rikus was working me today, bro. So it's basically just a chapter of him kind of going over his transition in his playing career, which I thought was pretty cool. One of the things that stood out to me the most was his versatility.
Yeah. He talked about how he was just a big body. You know, he's always been a big body and was always super quick, you know, so to hear that he honestly didn't really even know tactically on how to play each position, but was just a player that would just give you a bunch of energy and a bunch of physicality. To hear that from one of the greats, just kind of how he started, it's just super interesting to hear. He didn't really even know too much about soccer already to start, and he was just big.
It's crazy when you think about how, you know, now he's one of the most respected former players, but back then he's just saying, I didn't know what I was doing. I would just start dribbling and like hope someone catch me.
And honestly, I just start trucking people.
That's pretty interesting when he did start talking about that. One of the things that stood out to me was early on, he said that when he was growing up, he didn't know tactics. He didn't know anything. He just loved to play. And I think that's something that we can both agree with.
No, for sure.
Because that's definitely how I started playing too. I started getting myself involved with everything regarding about the game because I couldn't get enough of it. Like, it was just everywhere for me. And I think you were the same way. Like, once we got a taste,
for me, it was just always around. So just being involved in the game for so long, and I bet that's kind of how he invoked himself into the game. And now he's just a huge part of soccer.
You know what I found interesting is he mentioned that there was a big contradiction in his playing style with how the Netherlands played at that time. Because Netherlands
he didn't fit the system.
No, Netherlands is very possession-based, you know, like very structural. This is how we play the beautiful side of the game, whereas he's very direct.
Yeah.
You know where he would have fit in very well?
Where?
Here.
Yeah, the kickball.
Think about it.
Kickball. No,
he's
for sure.
fast, he's strong, he's tall.
He's built.
That's what they want to see here.
And it's interesting that you say that the game has shifted now towards what Gullit never even really knew about.
Yeah, it has to be like a hybrid, I think.
There has to be some IQ in the game. It's all IQ, man.
I think there's like a hybrid. Definitely his playing structure initially, where he didn't really have that much tactical and it was just very direct. It did remind me a lot of what the coaches in the US are looking for. And so that kind of contradiction that there's a Dutch player that would have fit here better is very interesting to me.
And you know how they used him actually in the youth level of the Netherlands? They would use him at the last few minutes of the game.
Yes.
To try to get a game winner.
That's smart.
And that's kind of how, if you really think about it nowadays, in America especially, you just put someone in there who can run fast and try to get you a lucky goal.
Everybody had that one club player. That one dude on your team.
I know you had him.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about, bro. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say names because I know they tune in to Barça Boyz. But I really, really like this chapter, man. I love hearing the player's perspective as they travel through. He had the conversation with Cruyff.
Yeah. Cruyff changed his life for sure. His career.
He basically got him to understand that you have to pick and choose the right moments to move between clubs, because regardless, fans are going to turn on you and they're going to say regardless of what your actual decision was. But I think it might have been Cruyff, the one that kind of initiated that idea of like think further, like challenge your thinking. He said that when he was playing with Cruyff basically ran the show. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's admirable too, bro, because we've played on a team, we won't say names, where we have a guy that's playing and also trying to coach. And we won't say names.
No.
But it's very hard to do. It's a hard thing to do.
It is.
And so for Cruyff to be able to do that and really kind of install his different way of thinking was really cool. I'm really excited to kind of get into it. and see how much more it is.
I'm excited to just see how his mind kind of works, because in reality, like you were saying, he felt like Cruyff ran the show. And it's kind of similar to now with that Pedri-Messi relationship where Pedri's learning a lot from Messi.
Yeah.
And that can just ignite anything for any youth player like Guillit was at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to get into at least a little bit of Cruyff's mind with Guillit as his eyes, I'm just super excited to see what more I learned from this book,
Yeah.
There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't necessarily get to see as the public with pro teams.
That's true, unless you have constant communication with David Alava, like my partner over here.
Always.
One thing that I really loved to learn about was his path to becoming a pro. And I noticed that it's very different than it is here, because he mentioned he started playing with a local team, and then as he started getting better, he started moving up, and then other teams started noticing him, and then he would go here, and then he would go here, and eventually ending up at first division. That's very different here.
Here it's very much so like if you have a name, it's kind of like you're already selected. You're in that pool of players.
How do you get into that pool? It's very hard.
Money.
Yeah, here it's definitely pay to play, and I think that's this is something that I will, the mountain that I will die on is, imagine if the U.S. wasn't pay to play, and these teams would go out and get these players. You go to Redwood City, bro. You go to Red Morton. You go to all these like urban areas in the U.S. in general.
Go to SF.
You know how much talent is there?
There's a lot of untapped potential.
Let me ask you this. When you played with Panteras, right? And you played the richer teams, let's put it. Who would win?
It would be a battle, but it wouldn't be far off. Half of the time we would win, half of the time they would win. But
who was more skilled?
I think we were.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
There's your answer. And the reason why you guys didn't win more is probably because you guys didn't get the same training.
Oh, no. For sure, no.
Feel me? So that is the difference.
We're getting trained by my cousin.
Hey! The people...
He's solid, though. He's solid.
Shout out.
I give it to him.
Shout out. So the people that we field for the men's national team is not the best players. It's just the players that from that pool that you were mentioning, the ones that are able to make it out. So that whole idea doesn't really sit well with me. And for someone in the Netherlands, for example, there's so many teams. It's so much, I wouldn't say easier because everybody has to put in work, but it's easier to get noticed.
It is.
And so I think that's why they're able to produce a lot more of these like talented players than we do here.
And if you're aware of all the exposure that you're able to get, if you put in the work, you're more inspired to wanting to do the work.
That's true.
More motivated to wanting to do the work. Here, that dream isn't really that much of a thing, honestly. It's kind of more like if it happens, it happens. And like Martin was saying, if you're a part of that pool, and like I was saying, you just have to have all that money. You have to have all that experience built in.
I had a player recently. She asked me, did you ever play in the World Cup? I said, first of all, El Salvador doesn't go to the World Cup. Second of all, it's very hard to do. And so she started asking me like what the path is to become a professional. And I started like, as I was telling her, I started realizing just how flawed it is. Because if you think about it, right? So you're a high school player. Your main objective, or you're told, is to go play college. Right? Go play college. You go play college. Out of college, they have like what, maybe 2-3 rounds of the MLS draft. Yeah. So there's like, let's say 90 players. It has to be less. Let's say 50.
Mostly all are D1.
Let's say 50 players, right? That get drafted. Out of those 50 players, 10 maybe make a impact in their team. Out of those 10, maybe 1 or 2 end up becoming an all-star. Maybe one of those makes a name for themselves, and maybe that one player can make that jump to Europe. Maybe. Feel me? Yeah, so it's very flawed, bro, because, okay, you made it to college. Great, you played college. The jump between college and professional is huge.
I think nowadays that's why they're making more like academy-based teams.
And the academy is the way to go.
But academy, you need the...
Right back to the start. right back to the start.
There you go. I mean,
over there, they don't go play in college. I think playing in college is essentially a waste here because, yeah, you can have a good time like for 4 years, but if you're looking to make that jump
and you're really serious about it,
that's where it's pointless because the amount of people that actually get drafted and actually take that extra step is so low. Like,
very low.
Imagine you go to like a D1 school, but they're not one of the most prestigious. No one really watches your games. Chances are you could be tearing it up playing against Northern Idaho and like fucking Colorado and, you know, Southeast Montana, but no one's going to go to your games. Yeah, feel me? So in this book, for example, like he was talking about like he did so well, he got noticed by an academy, he moved on to this team, teams that have connections with other teams. He was playing professional before he was 17. Here, kids are hoping to they're hoping to commit to a college
at 17.
Feel me? And even when they go to academy, a lot of players leave academy to go play college. So then there's not a farm system that we can have. You know, we don't have a Masia. We don't have a Real Madrid Castilla where they pick those players from.
Or like a soccer school even.
Yes, we don't have that. So that jump is very difficult to make. But yeah, man, that's just one of the few things that I kind of noticed. And I think the last thing for me was that, you know, like how you mentioned, he played all over the place. He started center back. He was outside mid, outside back. He played striker for a bit. I think the idea of putting kids in different positions, especially in their developmental years, really like helps them expand their knowledge of the game because you have to learn how to adapt. And you have to understand each role in each position. You know, as an outside back, my game is very different than the right mid, right in front of me. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And so, and let's say you're playing striker, but you've already played defender. You know where a defender's going to move. You know what they hate to do. As a defender, I hate having the ball kicked over me and I have to turn around and sprint backwards. So as a striker, where am I going to look for the ball?
In the back.
Exactly. Feel me? So like you're able to read the game a little bit better. And as someone who has literally played, bro, I think I played jokes aside, I have played every single position. I've played every position. I'm not gonna name them all because you know them all, but I played them everywhere.
Keeper, I blocked a PK.
When was that?
Say, bro, I was like 12.
Nah, come on, bro.
Hey, it still happens.
Come on.
I can still say it though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like being able to, not everybody's good enough to play. You know, I wouldn't be able to play 5 positions as a professional. Oh, no. You know, but I have been blessed with the opportunity of playing in different positions that opens up my perspective. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to kids, I really like that idea, and that's something that I personally am going to look to implement in my future coaching, is put them in different perspectives, because you never know where you're going to get the best out of a player. You don't know where.
And how do they know that that's what they are?
Exactly.
They don't know.
Exactly. So I really like that. And so I read this book before. I think I finished it last year during the pandemic because I didn't have anything else to do. So we got it looks like we got the Italy chapter coming up. So the Italy chapter is coming up. So that's his move to AC Milan, which one of the greatest teams ever assembled, that AC Milan team. Fucking Van Basten, Maldini, like the names go on. So looking forward to that. Next week, we're going to bring chapter number 2 of How to Watch Soccer. If you guys want to read along, again, man, like I found this at Powell's. You don't got to go to Portland to go to Powell's. Lex found it on Amazon. I mean,
$10.
But mine was literally $9. So you got $10 on your account, bro. If you don't, like, skip dinner for one day or whatever, like maybe skip lunch.
It's a good book.
You know what you do? So it's a completely sidetracked. But if you guys are low in money, you know what you got to do? You got to wake up late in the day. Why do you have to wake up late in the game, you might ask? If you wake up late in the day, you wake up, you drink some water, which is free. That fills you up until lunch. You feel me? That's already one meal that you don't have to eat.
That's disgusting. You need to be eating 3 meals a day at least.
When you're broke?
What the? Bro, you need to do something.
When you're broke, what are you going to eat?
You need to figure it out. And when life hits you hard, you'll figure it out.
That is true. But I know you guys at home have $10 to go buy this goddamn book and join us, because this book is going to get good. and we want to share it with you guys at home.
You got to learn a little something too.
Learn a little something, and join your favorite Barça Boys duo podcast. So, in the meantime, guys, go ahead. Episode number, bro. I'm over here stumbling.
1.
Chapter 1 is complete. Chapter 2 for next week. It's a couple pages. So if you guys want to tune in for that. Lex, last words about the book?
No, I'm just super excited to see kind of the mind of a professional, kind of get a little bit of insight on how they think, how they read the game, how they watch the game even. So I'm just curious to see kind of his development through the book and kind of how he handles himself as a professional is really going to be something.
It's gonna be fun. So, yeah, chapter 1 done. Next week, chapter 2. See you guys next time.